Posted as well on FirstAlert6.com.
Yeah, something to be said about going out on top.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our top 6 headlines at 6 now.
Breaking tonight, Governor Pillen expected to announce an implementation plan for Medicaid work requirements tomorrow morning. Nebraska would become the first state in the country to do so. Dr. Mehmet Oz, administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, is expected to attend the news conference.
The bodies of 2 Iowa National Guard soldiers killed in Syria will return to the United States tomorrow. President Trump will be in attendance. The president and both Iowa senators will speak with the families of the 2 guardsmen after the ceremony. Iowa's Attorney General suing online gaming platform Roblox, accusing them of failing to protect children. Brenna Bird says Roblox hasn't taken the necessary steps to protect Iowa kids from sexual exploitation and child sex abuse material. As many as 2/3 of American kids ages 9 to 12 have a Roblox account. Speaker Mike Johnson says the U.S. House of Representatives will not vote on extending Affordable Care Act subsidies. Virtually guarantees a spike in insurance costs for Americans buying through the ACA marketplace. Nebraska is cracking down on Kratom sales. Starting in the new year, the state will require sellers to register Kratom products sold in Nebraska. As of today, the list of products approved for sale starting in January is empty because the state hasn't received any complete applications. And more breaking news tonight. Nick Reiner, Rob Reiner's son, formally charged with murder in the stabbing death of his parents. Prosecutors have not decided if they will seek the death penalty.